Not your middle name or anything like that, right?
No, it's not.
Okay. And do you have your social security number?
Yes, I do.
All right, sir. Could you write it there for me?
What?
The social security?
Oh, no, I don't need to provide that information.
You need to provide that information?
I don't need to provide that information.
Okay. Are you a U.S. citizen?
I don't answer questions, man.
Okay.
Is this an immigration checkpoint
resident or anything like that? Like a resident?
Is it like an immigration checkpoint or?
No, I'm trying to check if
immigration
you have a Texas
stop?
driver license or identification, because you could also, be a resident and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
Is it an immigration stop?
Because I'm looking at your card here, and that's why I'm inquiring about it.
Okay.
'Cause it is going to be a citation for speeding,
Okay,
sir.
go ahead and issue
So
the citation.
we put as much information on there.
Okay.
So it could.
Welcome back, everybody. As many of you guys know, I'm a law enforcement trainer instructor. I train and instruct military and law enforcement all over the country on various law enforcement disciplines to include constitutional law, case law, patrol tactics, use of force, advanced criminal investigations, etc. Today we're going to be talking about traffic stops and social security numbers, basically doing a response video to this video. So let me just say my particular take on this is going to be probably a lot different than your average person's take, probably going to be a lot different than your rank and file law enforcement officer, to include this Arizona state trooper, highway patrolman, whatever, you can see here in this video. And so, and again, you have to remember, I'm coming at this from an investigation standpoint, as somebody that knows the case law, and we're going to talk about that, and as somebody that does advanced, complex criminal investigations for a living, right? I look at this, and the first thing that I think, first thing that came to mind is, tell me you don't know how to do investigations without telling me you don't know how to do investigations. And that's exactly what this state trooper is showing to me, is his inadequacy at conducting investigations. And I'm not saying that from the aspect of him asking, right? So let me just be very clear and honest. Him asking for the social security number, I don't really care. It doesn't really mean anything to me. I think this citizen did exactly what I would do. Okay, you can ask, but I'm not going to tell you. So, I totally get the citizen's aspect, and I get where the citizen's coming from with it. Totally get it. From my perspective, though, him asking is kind of like whatever. Again, the citizen doesn't have to give it. Where I get kind of, which my whole thing on it is, number one, sure, you can ask, but if he says no, what are you going to do, right? Like, I don't know why he's making a big deal about the social security number. And it's clear, again, that he doesn't know how to do investigations, because if he did, getting your social security number is not very difficult. And we're going to kind of talk about that here in a second. And so to kind of surmise what's going on here, I don't know when this video was taken, but let's just be honest. We know what's going on in the world in 2025. We know that immigration, ICE, HSI, these federal entities that are, they're doing more and more with undocumented persons or visa overstays. They're doing more with those types of crimes and civil processes, because a lot of that's going to be a civil process. And so there's that going on in the world. And so a lot of state police entities and just state and local law enforcement, county law enforcement all over the country are being cross-commissioned with ICE. I know state police all over the country that are, I guess, friendly with this administration, or have some kind of Republican backing, are getting cross-commissioned with ICE to do limited functions with them. And so if I had to guess why he would even be asking for that, it's probably for something that has to do with that nexus of documentation, his status, legal status to be in the country. And so all that to say, again, the reason, it's going to be, again, we don't know, but let's say that was a nexus to the reason, for the reasoning for it. Again, him asking for it, whatever. What I find fascinating is why he's trying so hard to get it from this person when this person is clearly not going to tell him. And again, I think a lot of that probably has to do with, and I'm not trying to be a jerk here to this trooper. He probably doesn't know how to get it any other way. And so here, I'm just going to be very upfront and honest. There's lots of different ways you can get somebody's social security number, FBI number, etc. And so again, this idea that this person, the only way he can get it is by this person giving it to him. I don't know. It's just kind of wild. Especially now, there's hotlines this person can use. He can contact HSI directly. They have a special agent line that he can literally call. You can Google it. He can literally call it and ascertain information about status, whatever, if that's what he's trying to do. There's just so many ways he can go about it. And the fact that he's like, this is how he's trying to go about it. Again, it shows the lack of training, and it shows that, again, your average, and this is probably going to come to a surprise for a lot of you guys, your average law enforcement officer does not know how to conduct investigations at all. Again, I teach the Advanced Criminal Investigations course for my state, and we teach people all over the state. So we teach the cream of the crop at various entities and various agencies all over the state. Some of the people that so what I mean is everybody that's most of the people that are taking this course are already considered to be, investigators, detectives, criminal investigators, district attorney investigators. Some of them are agents themselves that are going through this course. And so, I teach advanced criminal investigations, and I'm teaching it to, supposed to be teaching it to the best and brightest that these agencies have. And it's very clear that there's even a lot of investigators out there that just don't have the tools and knowledge that you would expect from a detective or a criminal investigator or an agent, etc. And so knowing that I see that all the time as well in my training, at this point, it's no surprise that your rank and file patrolman just is completely underwater sometimes when they're trying to figure things out. So just a couple things to keep in mind. You don't necessarily need a law enforcement database to look this stuff up. You'd be surprised what consumer data platforms can find. There's a lot of different consumer data programs, and what I mean by consumer data programs is there's programs out there that connect and gather consumer data from all different types of entities and puts it into one platform. And a lot of entities like banks and things, organizations and businesses and finance pay for these programs. And these programs will give you social security numbers, driver's license numbers, criminal histories, businesses that people are tied to, bankruptcy, debts, creditor debts, all that stuff. And law enforcement, a lot of times have access to these programs or pay for subscriptions for these programs. And so I have found in my everyday investigating that these consumer data platforms, these CDPs, are extremely useful. In fact, I think they're more useful than just your average law enforcement background check to include an NCIC hit or a III, because a III or NCIC hit's just going to give me things related to criminal justice, whereas a CDP platform is going to give me so much more information. And so the ability to take that and then do some more ground investigation does prove very powerful, especially when I'm in if I'm doing an interview with you and I've had 2 weeks to do my homework and do my research. So there's that. But you guys came here for case law. So let's say that this is 2 o'clock in the morning and this trooper doesn't have access to a CDP, and he doesn't have any friends that have CDPs, and let's just say he just doesn't have any friends that can help him out. What can he do? Well, he could run, again, a III or an NCIC hit. He could run that, and that would give him a social security number. And not only that, but he doesn't even have to run it. He can have his dispatch run it and send it to him. So, what's the legalities on that? Well, talk about various circuits. There's 6 different circuits that have concluded that running criminal history checks is permissible and within the bounds of the Fourth Amendment right when it comes to a traffic stop. And so here, right, you can see on your screen here, for example, since I'm in the 10th Circuit, here's some 10th Circuit case laws. Again, the 10th Circuit has held that criminal history checks, a triple I, during a traffic stop is reasonable under the Fourth Amendment. Courts have routinely permitted officers to conduct criminal history checks during traffic stops in the interest of officer safety. The 10th Circuit stated that officers conducting criminal history checks during a traffic stop is justifiable as a negligible, burdensome precaution consistent with the important governmental interest in officer safety. And then furthermore, 10th Circuit stated that the Fourth Amendment does not require an officer to use the least intrusive or fastest means to accomplish a task. Rather, the Fourth Amendment requires the officer to act reasonably. And so if he was wanting to get a Social Security number, he could absolutely, there's a very good argument. And again, the 10th Circuit affirms it. 3rd Circuit affirms it. There's a bunch of circuits. Again, 6th Circuits affirm that, running a criminal history is permissible. And that criminal history on that person will, in fact, produce that Social Security number, FBI number, if that person has one. Let's have it continued. So in the Hunter case, again, that was a 3rd Circuit Court of Appeals. Again, they joined 6 other circuits in conducting and concluding that a criminal history check is permissible. And then again, the Fourth Amendment permits the consideration of an officer's safety when confronting a potentially dangerous situation. And then here's some just verbiage. Again, you may not like this. I'm just giving you what the courts have surmised. Traffic stops are especially fraught with danger to police officers, so any officer may need to take certain negligible, burdensome precautions in order to complete their mission. Again, they were quoting Arizona versus Johnson, 2009, a Supreme Court case precedence case. And then let's look at this even further. How long should a traffic stop take? Again, these slides are from my course that I teach. The appellate court in the 3rd Circuit held that a triple I check was objectively reasonable precaution related to the mission of the traffic stop under Rodriguez. The Court of Appeals found the check to be negligibly burdensome officer safety precaution that fell within the stop's mission. So there's even case law in the 3rd Circuit to which, again, they were quoting Illinois versus Rodriguez, a Supreme Court case precedence about stating that, in this 3rd Circuit case precedence that, prolonging the stop to run a criminal history was also permissible. And so again, I always tell officers they need to be able to articulate every second of the stop. But as you can see here, whether we like it or not, court cases on this have been pretty well established, and they really give the levity as a negligible, burdensome precaution of running a triple I. So again, I say all this to say, I don't know why this Arizona trooper is battling back and forth with this guy, arguing about a Social Security number. Again, I think it's just ridiculous. I think he's being ridiculous with it. Again, if he wanted to get the Social Security number, he could easily get it quicker than trying to explain to this person why he needs it. And so again, you would think that law enforcement would be smarter about, conducting investigations and know what they can and can't do, and most importantly, where to get the information. But as you can see, that's not always the case. So again, I know this video is probably, hopefully it's informative to you. I know a lot of you probably are not happy with the case law precedents on that. I know a lot of you are not happy with even how I would conduct investigations, and that's fine. But just to be honest with you, it's of no consequence to me because I conduct my work in a fashion that does not violate constitutional rights, and I do it legally and constitutionally. So just because you don't like the case law precedents, and just because you don't like the fact that companies are selling your information to these CDPs, to the highest or lowest bidder, I don't know. You may not like that your information's out there like that. You may not like the fact that law enforcement use civilian-based programs. You may not like the fact that law enforcement can constitutionally and legally run a triple I on a traffic stop. Again, you may not like all these different various abilities, but they're out there, and they are being utilized by some, not all, but by some. So again, hope this video was helpful. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you have any questions, leave in the comment section below. But most importantly, tell me what do you think about this whole thing. What do you think? What should the officer have done? What should the driver have done any differently? If you think they should have done something differently, I'm curious to know what you have to say in the comment section below. As always, guys, long live the Republic.